Okay, we're back to working on our RDC cowl today. Luckily the heat's been on almost constantly, so that paint should be good and dry. We've got the edges all carded out. And just like we planned it this way, we really didn't, but John Pothier, who's made our decals for many of our projects, including Luciano's R6 is the latest one, and the West Cooley project. On this project, we wanted to have some custom decals, basically saying Kenny Roberts replica. He made me plenty just in case. You never know with decals if it's your lucky day or not. And these, John, by the way, worked out perfectly. They needed to get a, when you get them, of course, you can rub the ink with your finger. So the first thing we do is put a coat of clear urethane on them. And these are done on inkjet clear water slide decal paper. We get a nice quick coat of clear on these. One coat is plenty. Let it dry. At the same time we were doing this, I made up these from scrap carbon fiber pieces to cover the blinker holes in the 750. So I had clear on this part, clear on the decal sheets. And while I had clear in the gun, I laid on some clear on that, the first couple coats anyway, use up the clear. You can see there it got nice and shiny, even the paper's nice and shiny. But that basically, before we do anything else with that, that's got to dry overnight. And once it's dried overnight here, and of course we have other projects that we're working on at the same time, I wanted to position these in such a way that they'd be similar, because I like the family resemblance to the West Cooley bike. And we have tons of these decals left over for anybody doing a West Cooley replica or a Yamaha or a Delta box, but I wanted these to be the Kenny Roberts replica. This is a key thing I learned. Don't let the corners come to a point. Clip the corners. That seems to help a whole lot. And of course they're water slide decals. You just hold them under the water. Lay them in position, rub out all the air bubbles with clean Q-tips. And once they're buried in 3 or 4 coats of urethane clear and wet sanded, you can not only not tell with it that they're not paint, you can't feel them either. So, and I came up with this lettering size and length and everything because I wanted it to be similar to the West Cooley bike. That was my my goal. And I also have these little logos that John made up. John Pothier made these up, and we've been putting one on every bike that we've restored. And we used to do these in aluminum badges, and we stopped doing aluminum badges because they just got too expensive. Now we got the decals are a lot less expensive, and you can bury them in clear when we do the clear work. So once all the decals are on, it's pretty cut and dry from this point on. The decals really should dry some amount of time, and when I was doing model airplanes regularly, I was trying to rush this and try to just hit it with a hairdryer and go out and put the clear on. Well, I didn't want to take a chance in this case, and so I put it up by the heating vent to dry, and well, because it was a nice day, I said, you know, time to take a nice little ride just to, while everything's drying up, take the West Cooley bike out. We had made some changes to it, and I always like to ride a bike after I make some changes. We had changed the handlebars to Renthals. Chuck gave us a good heads up on where to get the Renthals, and by the way, Chuck, after I rode this bike for, you can see Larry just pulled in the yard, these bars are really nice on a GS. I like the lean angle, I like the length. They're a little bit wider than what I had, and it seems like a little bit further forward position. And Larry, we're still working on painting up some parts on Larry's Ducati. He's got the fender hugger off of it. We're working on that. And of course he's got his custom body work here. And the hugger is waiting for the clear to dry as we took this ride. So we went out, and he's wanting to make some carbon fiber covers for the valve covers here or something else, and I'm not sure we're going to do that because summer is coming up. We're already into the beginning of the riding season, but if you're going to go out, and here we're buying gas, this turned out to be an over 100-mile ride. But the nice thing is, I knew the decals were drying up, and that's always something that if you're out riding and you know your decals are drying, it makes the ride a lot better. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But anyway, turned out to be a beautiful day. A very unexpected treat to have this day. I was shocked. And when I got home, as always, the decals were dry. So now the trick is to get out there, and this is a whole nother issue now. Now I want to see this is the first coat of clear drying up. I believe I put 3 coats of clear on this about an hour apart. And because we were expecting the baby, I just put this out in the garage to dry overnight. And it was probably up around 40 degrees anyway, so. Put some more clear on my my covers that are going to go on a 750 on the track bike. And then once the baby went home, and we knew we're not going to get the poor baby's stinking paint. There's just nothing better than knowing paint's drying, decals are drying. And now it's time for the most fun you can have. 600 wet sand out the first coats of clear. Now at this point you can still feel the paint lines and feel the decals, but until you block sand it all down, or in this case I'm doing it with 600, and get everything flat and dull, then it's ready for the next coat of clear. And usually the next coat or 2 of clear is all you need. And that part will be ready for buffing. And at this point in time you cannot feel these lines. These are, if you close your eyes and look in a mirror or something, you can't feel the raised edges. So the combination of carding this and a really detailed sanding made this part really, really nice. At this point in time I start getting excited about seeing this all put back on the bike and whatnot. And all the decals of course are now sealed and clear. They're actually, you can't feel anything at this point. So, and now I wanted to make sure when I put the next coat of clear on that it would be a day that wind wouldn't be blowing, or there wouldn't be something that I'd pick up any unnecessary dust. And as luck would have it, we had a really nice day to paint. It just couldn't have been a better day. And usually, and what Larry ran into this the other day, he was painting some Ducati parts and a wind was blowing and they got full of dust, which of course will sand out, but it's a lot nicer when you don't have to sand it out. So now all the clear is on there. And while it was drying, I put the parts, they go right over here where the blinkers normally would be attached. And they just couldn't have been nicer. And that really added a nice touch to that bike, which is going to be our track day bike for this year. So we really have 2 track day bikes now, but I want the first track day to be for this guy, because I haven't even ridden this bike yet. And while I was in the garage eyeballing up all the parts that I've made, I made these. These were the last thing we did on Flip Video, so, and now that we're doing YouTubes, I don't miss Flip Video at all. And the West Cooley project, which the whole bike got done on Flip Video. Another thing we have on DVD, I may put some of it on a video, making up these mufflers for the R1. But we're going to try to put more and more projects in the future on our YouTube now that it's proven to be very popular, and thanks to Paul Taylor for setting it up and John Pothia for helping me out with debugging it and trying to get through some of the loose ends that we have with it. And that part now pretty much is ready. Once it's dry, of course, it's got to dry overnight. And so there's always a day or 2 between the dry times. That's ready for some 2000 sand out. And this is a funny thing now. We're gonna basically, this will be the end of this video when I finish this story. That This is a thing from Walmart. It's a beautiful taillight. It's an unbelievably nice taillight. It has a little button. Of course, it's LED. They leave a little battery in the pack. And it says, try me. So I'm in Walmart a month ago, and I try it. I go, wow, that's great. When I do my RD seat, I'll go to Walmart and buy that. That'll be a perfect size. And it's super, super bright. The brake light part especially. So, and you can't make this up. So I said, nah, I don't need to buy it now. I'm just going to sit around a shop. But I told Luciano about it. So that same day, Luciano went down to Walmart and bought the damn taillight. Well, it turns out it was the last one. So I went for, look how bright this is. So I went to every Walmart in the area, and everybody was sold out of this taillight. And I finally went to the one in Secor because we were buying stuff for Easter, and I found the last one. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe, here I am being a good Samaritan for Luciano. He buys the last one, but I got one. So when we get back to this, the next step on this, now that we have a tail light, we're going to have to buff the part out before we move on. But that is a great tail light from Walmart.